To stay healthy and grow, we have to consume the right foods in the right proportions. Plants, too, require essential nutrients to grow. They get these nutrients from the soil they grow in. But where does the soil get these nutrients from? Let's find out. Plants require a variety of nutrients to grow in a healthy way. The nutrients required in large quantities are called macronutrients, while those required in smaller quantities are called micronutrients. Most of these nutrients are naturally present in soil. After these nutrients are used by plants, they are naturally renewed by soil organisms. Here is how it happens. Soil organisms break down plant and animal waste into simpler substances. This decomposed matter, which is rich in nutrients, mixes with the soil, thus returning essential nutrients to the soil. However, when farmers repeatedly grow the same crops in a field, the natural nutrients get used up faster than they can be renewed. So, farmers add additional nutrients in the form of natural and chemical fertilizers. Fertilizers contain essential nutrients for plant growth. Compost manure is one type of natural fertilizer. Compost is decomposed animal and plant waste. Wastes from the garden, fields, the kitchen, and even animal wastes are dumped in a pit. The waste is kept moist by watering it at regular intervals. Over a period of time, soil organisms and bacteria break down this waste matter into a black, nutrient-rich substance called compost manure. The manure is mixed with the soil to replenish the soil's nutrient content. Compost is also rich in fiber. Fiber increases the water-holding capacity of soil, thus preventing water loss. It also makes the soil porous and well aerated. Vermicomposting is another composting method. In this method, redworms are used to decompose waste. Do you know of any other ways of replenishing the soil's nutrients? Crop rotation also helps in returning essential nutrients to the soil. In this method, different plants are grown in a planned succession. Crops like wheat use a lot of nitrogen from the soil. So after the harvest of a wheat crop, farmers grow leguminous crops such as peas or beans. A friendly bacterium of a genus called Rhizobium lives in the root nodules of these plants. Rhizobium converts the nitrogen present in air into soluble nitrogen compounds. These compounds dissolve in water and enter the soil, making it rich in nitrogen once again. Thus, leguminous plants act as natural fertilizers. Natural fertilizers cannot always provide plants with all the nutrients they need. So farmers use artificial or chemical fertilizers made in factories. These fertilizers are rich in specific plant nutrients. Although chemical fertilizers provide plants with essential nutrients, using them in excess can be harmful. Can you list some of the ill effects of the excessive use of chemical fertilizer? Adding too much chemical fertilizer can reduce the soil's water-holding capacity. Fertilizers destroy friendly soil organisms, thus preventing the natural production of soil nutrients. Excess fertilizers sometimes mix with water and flow into nearby water bodies, polluting them. it is important to use artificial fertilizers sparingly. Take a look at the differences between natural and artificial fertilizer. This farmer loves the rainy season. He depends completely on rainfall for his crop's water requirements. In the past 2 years, he enjoyed a bountiful harvest because the rains were good. But this year, poor rainfall has led to a poor yield. Could the farmer have done anything to avoid this situation? Instead of depending on rainfall, if the farmer had practiced irrigation, he would have enjoyed a good crop every year. Irrigation is the artificial watering of crops at fixed intervals. Let's learn how it is done. Just like us, plants need water for survival and growth. Most farmers depend on rainfall for this necessary supply of water. But rainfall is not a dependable source. It may vary from heavy showers in one year to very scanty rainfall, leading to drought-like conditions in another year. If crops do not receive enough water, they may wither and die. This dependence on rainfall can be avoided by practicing irrigation or watering crops artificially. Water for irrigation can be obtained from wells, lakes, rivers, and canals. Tube wells and dams are also important sources of irrigation. But one should be careful while irrigating crops because the water requirement varies with the type of crop, season, and soil type. Crops such as rice require a lot of water, and the field has to be kept waterlogged constantly. On the other hand, crops such as wheat need to be watered only at fixed intervals. Did you know that watermelon plants need water only once in 14 to 21 days? In which season will the water requirement be higher, summer or winter? In summer, the soil loses a lot of water owing to evaporation. Plants also lose water in the form of water vapor by a process known as transpiration. So, farmers have to supply much more water in the summer season. Water requirements also vary with the type of soil the crops are growing in. Sandy soil cannot hold as much water as clayey soil. So crops growing in sandy soil need to be watered more often than those growing in clayey soil. Now let's take a look at the different methods of irrigation. In the past, traditional tools such as the moat, based on the pulley system, the chain pump, Hekli, and Rahat, based on the lever system, were used to draw water from wells, lakes, rivers, and canals. The working of these tools requires human and animal labor. Pumps which run on diesel, biogas, electricity, and solar energy are also used to draw water. The water drawn in these ways is then manually supplied to fields. These traditional methods of irrigation have their advantages and disadvantages. Can you work out some of them? These methods of irrigation are low on cost. However, they are also very laborious, time-consuming, and not very effective. If too much water is poured into the fields, they will get waterlogged. Waterlogging prevents air from reaching the roots. Waterlogging also causes soil nutrients to percolate into the lower layers of the soil. So the upper layer of the soil, which is accessible to plants, becomes less fertile. All these drawbacks of the traditional irrigation methods are overcome by modern irrigation methods. The sprinkler system and drip irrigation are two modern methods of irrigation. In the sprinkler system, several interconnected pipes are placed along the length of the field. The main pipe is connected to an electric pump, which pulls water from a water source. When switched on, the rotating nozzles on the pipes spray water on the crops. This method of irrigation is effective, less laborious, and very useful in areas where the availability of water is limited. In drip irrigation, too, a system of pipes is placed along the field. Each pipe has an outlet near the roots of a plant. When water is allowed to flow through the pipes, it trickles drop by drop and supplies water to the roots. This is a very efficient method of irrigation. Do you know why? As the water falls drop by drop directly near the roots absorb most of it without any wastage. Drip irrigation is mainly used for growing fruit-bearing plants and in gardens. It is a blessing in areas where the availability of water is very low. We eat various kinds of food in our daily lives. Have you ever wondered how the ancient people fed themselves? Ancient people led a nomadic life. They wandered in groups from place to place in search of food and shelter. They hunted animals for food and also ate raw fruits and vegetables. Around 10,000 BC, early man accidentally discovered that seeds can give rise to plants. This discovery transformed the hunters into the world's first farmers. They began to cultivate plants for food and live near the farmed land. Let us learn more about agriculture, one of the most important developments in human history. What is agriculture? It is growing plants on a large scale for food and other necessities. Rearing animals is also considered to be a part of agriculture. Do you know where the word agriculture comes from? This word agriculture is formed from two Latin words, ager, which means field, and cultura, meaning cultivation. When plants of the same type are grown on a large scale, it is called a crop. Humans cultivate various kinds of food crops like cereals, fruits, vegetables, oil seeds, and pulses. Plants like jute and cotton are called non-food crops and are grown to obtain plant fiber, which is used in many ways. To Different types of crops require different types of climatic conditions, such as temperature, sunlight, humidity, and rainfall to grow. Different crops also require different types of soil conditions. In India, the climatic conditions and the soil composition vary widely among the different regions. Due to variations, different regions are well suited to different types of crops. Based on the seasons, two major crop patterns are followed in India. Kharif are the crops sown in the rainy season, and Rabi are the crops sown in the winter season. In India, rainfall generally occurs between June and September. Plants like rice, maize, soybean, cotton, and groundnut are Kharif crops. They need large amounts of water to grow. So these plants are sown during the rainy season. In India, plants like wheat, gram, mustard, pea, and linseed are grown in the winter season. They are called Rabi crops. Winter season usually lasts between October and March. Apart from Kharif and Rabi crops, many pulses and vegetables are grown all over India in the summer season. Find out more about the growing conditions of common crops and discuss them in your class. Due to advances in science and technology, all agricultural practices in developed countries are performed with the help of machines. But in developing countries like India, most farmers manually perform several activities in a proper sequence for cultivating crops. Crop cultivation requires many activities to ensure a good growth of the crop. These activities are known as agricultural practices. Here is the list of various agricultural practices. They are soil preparation, sowing of seeds, adding manure to soil, irrigation, protecting from weeds, harvesting of crops, storage of crop products,